Hello and welcome to the DNA Empowerment Podcast, where we demystify the mystical. I am here today with a guest. Lindsay is not here again for today's episode, but I am here with a guest astrologer, fellow astrologer, C. Alexa DuRose. How are you, Alexa?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing really well. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
Yeah, you and I have known each other like through the interwebs for a number of years now.
Yeah, it's been kind of a while.
Yeah, and I always enjoy everything that you post online astrologically is so fascinating to me. And I have been watching, obviously, I'm not a mundane astrologer. I'm, archetypal, psychological,
Mm,
evolutionary astrologer is what I do. But with what's happening in the world, it's like impossible to not pay attention to the mundane stuff at this point,
yeah.
you know. And I've been watching the with the Neptune Saturn conjunction that happened
Yes.
on February 20th in Aries, knowing that, okay, that answers to both of those are going to answer to Mars now. That's a very
Hmm.
different flavor. And having some kind of a grace period, like in my mind, it was kind of a grace period to me all this time that Mars has been in Pisces. It's like, okay, it's not going to be like
Yeah.
and I know people listening to this will probably be like, it's really fucking intense, but
It
I'm like,
is. It is.
it's not as intense as it's gonna be. Hate to say it, because
Yes.
those two planets, this whole like new birthing of the new world
Hmm.
essentially that's happening, um, they're answering to Mars now. And so wherever
Hmm.
Mars is where we're gonna have that flavor. And Mars bumps into Aries tomorrow.
Yes.
And
Yep.
so I've been feeling like, okay, I know that when Mars is in Aries, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Mars is in Aries through May 20th,
Yes.
and then it bumps into Taurus, and
Hmm.
I'm expecting that, like, after at that point we may get a reprieve for just a little bit. It may not feel quite as terrible. You tell me if you disagree.
No, I definitely agree with that. May is absolutely going to be, it's going to be a breeze compared to this month. April is so intense. So I'm looking at April, July, and then December has a little bit of
Hmm.
spice to it also. But
Yeah,
for the most part we get breaks in between there. But this month is the peak, I would say.
totally. This month in July is what I was
Yes.
looking at, and then
Yes.
the sluggish. I mean, it's not going to feel good when Mercury and Venus are both retrograde at the same
Yeah.
time, in Scorpio. Ugh.
Yes. Exactly. I should
But
say I should have kind of caveated that and said it's
yeah,
not that everything else is going to be great and, sunshine and rainbows. It's
right.
just that compared to what we're going through now and in
Hmm.
July, those are going to seem so much easier and they're not going to feel as heavy because of just all of this that's happening right now.
Right. And so you've been doing a lot of work, and I've seen it all over Instagram on,
Thank you.
what is happening in the United States Sibley chart, as well
Yes.
as our current president's chart. I don't even like to
Yes.
say his name.
I
Sorry.
know.
I'm just like,
You're fine. You're
but
fine.
I try to keep things, it's interesting because I try to keep things like we can say, okay, yeah, every time Uranus has been in Gemini, we've had a really big war. And,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
like to say, so it's very likely that we're going to be back into a really big war again. But
Hmm.
also, the future doesn't have to be the way the past has been.
No.
So, I do kind of like to err on the side of optimism, even though we're
Yeah.
seeing all these intense energies. So, with that being said, I would love for you to dig into what you're seeing about the energy that's happening right now in the world, how it's showing up. Lay it on me.
Okay. So right now, as you know, we're building into that big seven planet Aries stellium.
Mhm.
So obviously that can bring up a lot of that impatience, frustration. It's go, go, go. I want to do everything right this second. It can feel kind of overwhelming on the individual level just because we're getting bombarded with that. And then until the sun moves into Taurus, we don't have any earth to ground us right now.
Right.
So that's also not the greatest because we don't have that offset like we normally do.
Yeah.
I mean, to see this many planets and Chiron and Eris and Aries and just all of that energy, it is a little overwhelming. I mean, even I've been feeling that. Um, and the new moon that we're going to have on the 17th is going to be quite the new moon.
Hmm.
Um, right now, Trump has a lot going on with his chart. I know I did a post on that. Um,
Yeah, and probably people that are listening to this, they haven't seen your post. So don't worry
yeah.
about repeating yourself. I would love for you to share what you're seeing in his chart and your perspective on it for sure, because I think people will be really interested to hear that.
So I'm just going to read off all of these different transits that he has going through
Yeah.
the end of April. And I'm going to go back to March when all of this started because really this high intensity period for him began last month. So he had transit Uranus loosely square his natal Mars. Uranus was sitting at 28 degrees Taurus. His natal Mars is at 26 Leo. Then
Hmm.
and that was on March 24th. On March 24th, he also had transit Uranus exactly square his ascendant.
Hmm.
So that was at 28, 27, Taurus and Leo. March 25th, he had transit Mars at 17 degrees Pisces, square his natal Uranus, 17 degrees Gemini. On March 28th, he had we had transit Mars at 20 degrees Pisces, square his north node at 20 degrees Gemini.
Hmm.
Then we had on March 29th, transit Mars at 21 degrees Pisces, square his moon at 21 degrees Sag. On the 31st, we had transit Mars at 22 degrees Pisces, square his sun at 22 degrees Gemini.
Hmm.
On the 4th, just a few days ago, we had transit Saturn at 5 degrees Aries, opposite his Neptune, which sits at 5 degrees Libra.
Hmm.
On the 17th, on the day of the new moon, we will have transit Mars 5 degrees Aries opposite his Neptune. On the 19th, we're going to have transit Jupiter at 17 degrees Cancer, square his Jupiter at 17 degrees Libra. And then on the 23rd, this is really the big one that I'm looking at. He does have another aspect on the 28th, but on the 23rd, transit Uranus is going to be sitting at the anaretic degree of Taurus, the 29 degrees
Hmm.
Taurus, and it's
Yep.
going to be square Regulus, which sits
Hmm.
at 29 degrees Leo, and that just happens to be conjunct his ascendant.
Yep.
I'm going to come back to that just because that one is the big one, like I said, that I'm looking at. And then on the 28th, we'll have transit Saturn at 8 degrees Aries, square his Mercury at 8 degrees Cancer. But going back to that transit Uranus square Regulus conjunct his ascendant. So Regulus is often referred to as the king star.
Hmm.
Um, to me, in my opinion, that's like that golden horseshoe that he has shoved up his ass. It gives him all that gold,
Yep.
good luck and just, when people talk about him and they call him Teflon Don, that's where that comes from. It comes from that damn Regulus right there
Yeah.
on his
Uh-huh.
ascendant. And when you have that square, that is going to be quite unstable, erratic, unpredictable, chaotic. That square can really create the fall of the king
Hmm.
energy or the fallen king energy.
Yeah.
So that'll be incredibly interesting to see how that plays out. Now, as you know, it's hard to say that one aspect is going to be exactly this one thing because,
Totally.
yeah, there's just so many factors that go into something like that. But when I see transit Uranus, which had been kind of working in his favor, I'm wondering if we're going to shift over now where it's going to be more of a negative expression. Um,
Well, that's also the day that Venus conjoins Uranus. and
Correct.
Venus rules his midheaven in Taurus.
Correct. Correct.
And so that's even more,
Tied to
yeah, it's
his
even more
career and
emphasis,
his
something
public
blowing up,
image. And
you
yes,
know,
exactly.
something blowing up.
Exactly.
Um, and then as far as what I've noticed, and his from a solar art perspective,
Hmm.
Neptune moved into an exact opposition to his sun in
Hmm.
March and will be there for a whole year. And so, as
Yeah.
you well know, that's and his sun rules his chart,
Hmm.
and it's in that 10th house,
Leo rising.
leadership,
Yep.
right? Leadership,
Hmm.
public, his public role, all of that.
Hmm. Yep.
Um, and it's when Neptune dissolves everything it touches. And
Hmm.
so I see that as a dissolving, of his leadership as well. His solar arc midheaven is at the exact degree of his Pluto. So
Ah.
all of his secrets, all
Yep.
the buried shit,
Will be
all of his
revealed.
subconscious baggage is
Hmm.
getting revealed publicly, but we know
Yep.
that. But it's going to
Right.
keep going. It's going to be more,
Yes. Yeah.
you know.
I think that's the big thing to stress to people that a lot of people are like, okay, well, that already happened. Yeah, but there's layers to this. We've gotten through a few layers. We still have some more to go. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I think what would you say um if you were to pick a couple of days, the days in um April that
mm,
are going to be the most intense? I'm actually feeling a lot of
new
intensity
moon.
today from
Yes.
the sextile that we're
Yes.
sitting
And
under.
then, yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously, Mars moving into Aries, that ingress is going to give us another jolt of
Hmm.
that Martian Aries energy. The 17th is really big. Um, and then I just, like I said, I keep eyeballing that 23rd date. I forgot to mention one thing. So that same day on April 23rd,
Hmm.
Mars is going to be exactly trine JD Vance's sun in his 12th house.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah.
See, I haven't even looked at JD Vance's chart, which is
Yeah.
very
Now I
smart that you
know,
have.
yeah, so I know there's like some debate over the birth time that's been provided for JD Vance.
Okay.
However, a lot of people have agreed that this is the correct birth time because it was documented on some kind of public record.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean that trine on
So
the
let's,
same day, that we've
yeah,
got a Uranus square
squaring
Regulus on
Regulus.
Trump's ascendant, where
Uh-huh.
that's like the fallen king, and then you've got that like covert behind the scenes action with Mars trine JD Vance's sun in
So
the 12th.
what house is ruled by Aries in JD Vance's chart?
Let me pull his chart really quick. I haven't
Thank you
done
for
a
doing that.
deep dive. No problem.
Yeah.
I haven't done a deep dive in his chart like I have Trump's. Um,
I mean, he's not as
sorry. I'm laughing because I know you're going to laugh when I say this. His eighth house is in Aries.
so is mine.
Yeah.
So
But
his
I mean,
eighth house is
just,
in Aries.
just,
Yeah.
looking at this and then Sun in Leo in the 12th.
Yeah, Sun and Leo in the 12th. And so coming into his power, right? Eighth house is
Yes.
certainly a space of power. And
Yep.
so, my brain is thinking, okay, where is this new foundation showing up in his chart that's happening? The new dream, the new foundation is
Hmm.
happening in the Aries part of everybody's chart. And for him, that's like shared resources coming into your
Yes.
sense of power or victimhood. It depends on what side
Hmm.
of the coin you sit, you know.
Correct.
But yeah,
Correct.
and then a trine, it's like,
Right.
yeah, it's flowing. It's
Right. The most harmonious aspect, right? That we can
with his
have.
sun,
Yes, with his sun, the spotlight where he shines.
where he shines. Interesting that he has a 12th house sun.
Yeah.
Secrets,
Isn't that?
secrets, secrets.
Yes. Well, yeah. And that's why I'm saying, like, with the eighth house play too,
Yeah.
with things that are hidden. falling under eighth house as well. Like that's I actually missed that earlier when I looked at that. Good catch. Thank you.
Maybe he's been poking the bear to try to get him to go nuts.
Maybe, maybe. And he has Sun square Saturn in his natal chart.
Okay.
So, you know how there's like all of that weird stuff with him like changing his name multiple times and like
Yeah.
he's always kind of like behind the scenes, which makes sense with the Sun in the 12th, right? But
Yep. Definitely.
then thinking of Sun square Saturn, it's also kind of that like identity crisis. Like he
Yes.
doesn't really totally know who he is. So with that trine, I'm like, this is going to be his moment where he's going to finally step into the light and be like, yes, this
Yeah.
is who I am. And he's going to get it figured out. And then I
Yeah.
know
And
there's been talk about 25th Amendment,
I
which is
know.
very, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that when my brain goes to the Saturn cycle and
Mm-hmm.
he's still very much on the rise. I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
Saturn is just starting in his eighth house,
Mm-hmm.
in 6 or 7 years, it'll be up in his 10th. And
Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
so he may have a longer arc than
Mm-hmm. Right.
of public stuff happening.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
so do you want to talk a little bit about I was looking before we started this just a little bit in my
Uh,
crazy day the United States Sibley chart, and knowing that you know Mars conjoins Uranus on the 4th of July this year.
yes. Yes.
And talk about Gemini. A lot of people that listen to this, what is that have no idea. What is the significance of astrologers have been talking about a potential war happening this year
Yeah.
forever?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Um, before, and when I mean years, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
feel like
by
I've
the
been talking about this stuff since like 2020, 2021. I feel like a broken record at this point.
I know, and people are just like, "Oh my God," and it's like,
Yeah.
eh, you know.
Right. You're like, I tried to tell you like 6 years ago, but okay.
Yeah, and I don't mean to laugh. I just mean,
No, but
I
it's
don't
just
mean because it's
like
all very serious, obviously.
very, yeah. But and I think like in the past, I had people that tried to tell me that it was like fear mongering when I would talk about a lot of this. And I was like, no, I'm not fear mongering. I'm just trying to get the information out there because I'm being realistic. I can understand what this means. And I want people to be mentally prepared so they're not blindsided when it happens. I
Yeah,
think there's a difference between fear mongering and awareness. And it's
totally.
just very important for everyone to be aware of what's to come and to understand, yeah, this shit has been heavy, but
Hmm.
unfortunately, it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better. But there
Yep.
is the potential, there's a huge potential for this to get much, much, much better. So we just have to remember to see that light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, totally. And learn what to do with the energies while they're
Yeah.
here,
Yes.
and how to kind of keep some some semblance of protection around ourselves
Yeah. Absolutely.
from the information overload. Uh,
Yes. Which
and
is
so,
definitely going to be a thing with Uranus ingressing Gemini. We got a taste of that last year when we had
we
that
did.
brief little bit of time where it ingressed and it was like information overload and it was just like all the things all the time,
Yeah.
just everything all over the news and just like the downloads and yeah,
Yeah, and even in
it's
personal
intense.
life, I felt like
Hmm.
my life got so busy for those
Hmm.
handful of months.
Yes.
I could barely even hang on, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, and
Um,
Mercury is a very fast moving planet and Gemini is Mercury ruled. So
mhm.
there is that element of speed that gets added into this, right? So
So me and my buddy JD Vance both have Uranus, going into our 10th house.
that's nice for you.
I
I'm not
don't
gonna
know.
comment on the other part of that,
I
but that's great for
definitely
you.
attempted to straddle the fence with the twins,
Yes.
last, in 2025's ingress, and tried to start a
Mhm.
business at the same time as I was started a new full-time job. And I
Yeah.
learned my lesson very quickly that,
Yeah.
okay, too much. Don't do that.
Right.
So,
And that's such a Gemini thing because Gemini will be so social 1 minute, but the second that social battery runs out, it's like, nope, I'm done. And it's so hard to push through that, like, no, I just need to seclude myself for a while.
Yeah, and so I'm actually grateful for the experience because I learned it
Mm,
on a whole nother level, and I am committed to not overbooking my plate, no matter how
yeah.
excited, Uranus,
Right.
I get
Hmm.
about all the opportunities of
Yep.
doing work things, right?
Hmm.
Work
Yeah.
public things. But I have to
Yes.
honor my limits and know where they are. So,
Yeah. Yes.
so, um, so do you want to talk a little bit about the history of Uranus and Gemini and
Yes.
what that means for what we're moving into?
Yes. And I apologize for looking away, but I have quite
You're
the
good.
extensive notes on all of this.
It's great.
So I kind of need to look away for a minute here.
It's hard to
Um,
remember all the dates.
well, especially because, like I said, this is like extensive.
Mhm.
So, I definitely don't remember all of these. I remember some, but not all of it. Okay. Let's see. So Gemini communication, learning, knowledge,
Mhm.
writing, speaking, right? Those all go hand in hand. If we go back to 1444 when Gutenberg invented the printing press, Uranus was in Gemini then.
Wow. See, I didn't know that
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, that's
It's communication,
right. It's
evolution
such
and
a almost,
communication.
yeah, it's almost like a literal Uranus and Gemini, you know?
Totally.
Um, 1606 to 1613, Uranus was also in Gemini, and in 1609, Galileo developed the telescope.
Yeah.
Yep,
Awesome. I
yep,
mean, all of the technology, right? Technology just in
yes,
general is going to just
yes,
skyrocket. Yeah.
yeah. Again, like when we look back to that little blip of time last year when we had Uranus and Gemini, think about the advances that AI made just in that short period of time.
Yeah. That we've been living with since.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I guess I should mention this with Uranus sitting at the anaretic degree of Taurus, Taurus having that connection to money. I
Hmm.
remember saying years ago that we would see a lot more having to do with digital currency and that push. And since Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018, we've seen a huge shift,
Totally.
right, to digital currency and crypto and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, that like when it really got big, that was while Uranus has been sitting in Taurus.
Yeah.
And I mean, Mexico just announced, I believe, at the end of last month that they plan on only using digital currency at the pump now for gas. You cannot use cash anymore.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
That is wild. I bought digital currency over the last 7 years, you know.
Okay.
I also
Yeah.
sold it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, to me, there's still a lot of hiccups there. So it's not something that I'm
Yeah.
super trustworthy of just yet.
I got
But
Uranus conjunct my moon, so I'm just like
yeah, gotcha.
a little trigger
Okay.
happy in my
Right,
second
right.
house.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
That's funny. Okay. Again, almost like a very literal,
I
like
know.
if you take what this, and this means, that's funny. That's funny. Okay, so back to Uranus and Gemini and
Yeah.
historical events that happened while Uranus was in Gemini. 1690 to 1697, Isaac Newton published The Laws of Motion, Law of Gravity, and the mathematical principles that govern the celestial bodies. Um,
Wow. So
it
so
was
much
in
astrology
his,
stuff.
yeah, so that was in his, I know I'm going to butcher this, because I'm going to,
Sorry.
and so I just have this natural tendency when I read Latin to want to read it in Spanish because that's my first language. So
Oh,
I'm
I
going to end
didn't
up,
know that about you.
yeah, yeah, my family's from South America. So I'm the
Oh, that's
second one in my
awesome.
family born in the US. Yeah. So Filosofia Naturalis Principia Mathematica.
That sounded
I,
beautiful
I
to me.
I probably just said that in like straight Spanish, but that's okay. We're gonna go with that. But that's where he published his laws of motion, laws of gravity, and the mathematical principles regarding the planets.
Hmm.
And he actually published it just before Uranus moved into Gemini, 3 years prior. However, it did not get popular until Uranus was in Gemini. That
Got
was
it.
when he began to get recognition for his publication.
Mhm. Movement.
Yeah. And now, I mean, some of those principles are considered like the foundation of science.
Yeah.
I mean, law of
Yeah.
gravity.
Yep. Totally.
Yep. Then 1858 to 1865, we had the Pony Express being used for the first time in the US.
Hmm.
And then, of course, 1941 to 1949, World War II,
World War II.
which
And of
is
course,
where,
the revolution was the previous
yes,
time, the American
yes,
Revolutionary
correct.
War. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, for Uranus return for the US, yes. We
Yeah.
started out, yeah. Um, but so we talk a lot about Uranus and Gemini and war. I think something that's overlooked with Uranus and Gemini during World War II, yes, war, obviously. However, that was also when Enigma was created, which was the decoding machine that was used during World War II that Alan Turing developed.
Awesome. I had no
Right.
idea. I didn't know.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, language, right?
Yeah.
It was decoding the Germans' messages.
Yep.
Yeah. How
Very
much more
cool.
Gemini-ish can you
I mean,
get?
yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. Now looking to the war side of things,
Yep.
Uranus was in Gemini from 1775 to 1783. Obviously, that was when we had the American Revolution and the
Hmm.
United States was established as a country, 1776. Um, Something that I kind of want to just point out because I find that people get a little bit confused by this. And I actually had someone ask me about this the other day. So someone said, well, when the US had its Uranus return in 1776, and I was like, no, 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 that's not a return. That you have to consider that the birthing of the
Yeah.
nation.
Hmm.
So that wasn't the return. The first return was in 1861 to 1865 during the Civil
Yep.
War.
Yep.
Then we had 1941 to 1949 during World War II.
Yep.
Yes,
And now we have now. Well, coming up.
correct. Um, One of the other interesting things that we have now is having Pluto and Aquarius, because obviously
Yes.
Pluto and Aquarius is the people taking their power back.
Hmm.
And I won't get into this terribly, but Rosie Finn, she's an astrologer in Washington State. She has done
Hmm.
incredible work on Pluto going out of bounds and what it means in terms of when Pluto is out of bounds to the north and what it means when Pluto goes out of bounds to the south. And when it goes out of bounds to the north, there is a historical pattern that she has found going back over 3,000 years where we have tyrants that rise up. Right now, until 2035, we will have Pluto going out of bounds to the south, which is when we have revolutions and people taking their power back.
Awesome.
But what I find incredible is that she's run the software thousands of years into the future,
Hmm.
right? Because of tilts changing and orbits changing, this is the last time that Pluto's going out of bounds, period.
Whoa.
Yeah,
So there's whatever's coming is absolutely brand new,
yes. And I mean,
different than
as an
anything ever
astrologer,
before. Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as an astrologer, that Saturn Neptune conjunction that we had at 0 degrees Aries, the
Mhm.
very first degree of the zodiac, that world
Yeah.
stage degree, that initiator degree, that's already brought in a lot of this initiation energy and new. And then when you couple that with Uranus moving into Gemini and with Pluto and Aquarius and the US having had its Pluto return and the fact that Pluto is not going out of bounds again after 2035.
Yeah, it's we're birthing something
Yes.
completely new. And I mean, I know that I don't know if I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but I certainly have done it in like TikTok videos or
Hmm.
whatever that, that that Saturn Neptune conjunction, it's been over 6,000 years since that has happened at the creator
Yes.
degree of the zodiac. And
Correct.
that's why it's so significant that that's like
Yes.
1 degree out
Yes.
of 360, and it is the
Right.
beginning degree.
Yes.
And then the other thing that I think about is, it was during the 60s, during the free love hippie era, anti-Vietnam, all the protesting the Vietnam
Hmm.
War and all of that, Pluto and Uranus conjoined in Virgo.
Correct.
And that
Hmm.
was like the seeding point,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Of what is breaking open into its opening trine this summer and then over the
Yes.
course of the next few years. And
Correct.
to me, that is optimism. I find optimism in that, right? I find
Oh,
hope
yeah,
in
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Because that's
And
a
again,
flowing.
a lot of these transits have to do with the people taking their power back.
Yep.
Um, Again, it does feel heavy right now, but that's why I said we have to continue to see the light at the end of the tunnel because this is all pushing us in a direction of us leaning back into our sovereignty and realizing like, no, this is
Hmm.
wrong. The system is completely flawed. This isn't helping anyone. We need to start over. We need to fix this.
Yeah. And if we think about Pluto in Aquarius and
Mm-hmm.
Pluto just in general, to me, because of the work that I do with guiding people through shadow work and
Mm-hmm.
the yoga, the type of yoga that I do,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that, Pluto work, and even bridging it into Hermetic philosophy, if we look at
Mm-hmm.
the
Yes.
tree of life,
Yep.
and Pluto is Pluto is the solar plexus and the power
Yes.
that comes from
Correct.
being able to find our power in our own
Mm-hmm.
depths, right?
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
being able to sit with what is uncomfortable without looking
Yeah.
away and
Yeah.
not ruminate in the mind, right?
Right.
That's what is going to be. I think the correlate that we're going to see with that is the Uranus in Gemini, right? There's
Yes.
going to be
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of ruminating, and there's not going to be
Yes.
anything substantial found there really, unless it's
Right.
rooted in that softened, opened, empowered solar plexus that
Yeah.
you come to by being able to sit with just and this is the Taurus, the Uranus in Taurus thing that I love to talk about, which is, evolving, evolution coming
Yes.
through body awareness.
Yes. Yeah. 1,000%.
Yeah.
I mean, Taurus is very physical. It's the first earth sign, right? So with Uranus there, we think about Uranus a lot in terms of Uranus being the great disruptor. I know the one astrology teacher that I had, he used to refer to Uranus as a planet that likes to shake shit up, and it literally rules over earthquakes, right? So
Yeah.
yes, it does do that, but it's also the great awakener.
Hmm.
So it's also tied to getting those downloads and then kind of raising your consciousness to another level and getting
Yep.
that additional information when we have it in Gemini. Um, but yeah, in Taurus, it is getting more awareness of your body.
Yeah, and the sensations in the body and the
Hmm.
intuition that's available there,
Correct. Yeah.
But
Yep.
also, and I agree with you completely that Uranus, Uranus and Gemini, we can get the downloads, right?
Yeah.
But they're not going to come through if we're still stuck in that the thoughts are being used in service or reactively to discomfort, to trying to
Yeah.
get us away from the uncomfortable. If we're
Yeah.
continuing to try to move away from what's comfortable for what's uncomfortable and towards what's comfortable, then there's no
Yeah.
space in the mental area for
Right.
the downloads that are available with Uranus and Gemini,
Yeah.
because they really are. It's the genius
Yes.
energy.
Correct. Yeah, it is. Um, Uranus and Gemini is often referred to as the mad genius, right? And it's innovation and um it's the cutting edge not just technology but invention.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it has all of that energy behind it. So, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely agree.
And all of this Aries stuff, makes me also think, and I know you and I both geek out on Hermetic philosophy
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
and all of that, but Mars can every placement, every sign, every planet has its lower expression, for lack of a
Yes.
better word, because I
Yes.
don't really like to use the high low thing. I like to see everything kind of horizontally, but it's really hard
Yeah.
conceptually to not use
It
higher and lower.
is. It is. And I struggled with that for a long time also because I see people say positive and negative, and I try not to say that, but then like higher and lower, it's kind of all the same thing, right? And
Yeah, because lower
there
is good
is,
too,
yeah,
you
it's not
know.
bad. Like what you were saying about Pluto. Personally, I love Pluto, but Pluto energy is heavy at times. It's death and rebirth.
Yeah.
So, um, I think a lot of people get fixated on Pluto, Lord of the Underworld, and that death part, and they forget about that rising from the ashes and the
Right.
rebirth part of it, the evolution part. So there, it's a spectrum.
Hmm.
It's a spectrum of energy, and there is a lower expression of how these things can manifest. And then there's that higher expression that they can also manifest at, which was why I said earlier, it's hard to pinpoint sometimes how exactly the energy is going to be expressed because there's such a wide range. We
Totally.
know it's these things, but
Yep.
which one is it going to be?
Yeah, well, yeah, you can't, because there's always choice and there's always free will, and
Yes.
it's why I have never erred on the side of being a predictive
Mhm.
astrologer, specifically predictive astrologer, because it takes away the idea of free will, right? And
Right.
a fatalistic astrologer, because there's a lot of that
Yeah.
out there. And
Oh, there's
fatalistic,
so
I
much of
don't
it
mean
right now.
necessarily bad fatalistic, just like
Hmm.
fatalistic in general, like this is fate
Hmm.
and you have no control, you have no power. I don't
Hmm.
I don't grok that way.
No.
Um,
No, and even when I'm sharing a lot of this, like I have my opinion on how I think like some of this is going to go down for Trump
yep.
and JD Vance. That's
Mhm.
based off of hours and hours of research and years of studying astrology and understanding all of the moving pieces that go into this. This isn't just something I was kind of like, oh, well, this means this and that's how it's going to happen. Um, but I I just try to remind people energy can be transmuted. It's
Yes.
like when you're doing a natal chart reading for a client, right? And they have a lot of squares and oppositions in their chart. Yes, that is difficult, challenging energy. However, that's not a death sentence.
It's also
And I,
potential.
exactly, it
Yeah.
is. You just have to learn how to transmute that and work with energy properly, and then it birds like this incredible strong version of that person.
Yep.
It's just that when they get stuck again in that lower expression, in the frustrating tense energy, that's when they're feeling all that heaviness and they're like, oh, this
Fear
sucks.
and
Yep.
yep,
Yeah.
all the things.
Yep.
And speaking of, all this Aries energy
Hmm.
that we are living with now, and it's going to be ramping up. We've got
Yes. Yeah.
it can either be fear and aggression and
Yes.
asserting violence. Yes, it's all those
Hmm.
things.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
yes, it's all those things. But it's also Mars is the will in service to soul.
Yes.
You
Mhm.
know,
It's the leader, Neptune in Aries can be seen as the spiritual leader, the spiritual hero.
mhm.
It's taking spiritual action because
Yes,
Neptune is so tied to the spiritual. So you can look at it from the negative perspective, or you can look at it at the higher expression. And I feel like all of us have a choice as to which expression we want to tap into and what we really want to channel.
yeah. I mean, and again, just with that Mars, it's
Hmm.
like, is it reactive? Because yeah,
Yes.
it can be, or is it intentional?
Yeah.
And the difference is how do you transmute the energy inside of yourself?
Yes.
Because we can use Mars reactively, and that's when it becomes
Hmm.
violent, and that's when it becomes
Hmm.
honestly blind, also.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because it just moves, right?
Right.
It's just
Yep.
get away from the
Yeah.
energy.
Yep.
But we can also, if we learn how to transmute the energy, as you say, inside of ourselves, which has to do with like witnessing it,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, then we can use that Mars to be brave,
Hmm.
We can use it intentionally. It's
Yeah.
it's courage, you
Yeah.
know?
I was just thinking it's courage. I had that in my head.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that being said, why don't you talk a little bit about the new moon coming up?
Okay. So the
I'm like,
new
I'm like,
moon,
yeah,
go ahead.
not
Were
to
you going to
keep
say
putting you
something
on the
else?
spot. I was just gonna say not to keep putting you on the spot, but
No,
I
you're
know you,
good.
yeah,
Sorry, I'm flipping through my notes here.
you're so
Um,
good.
so the new moon, I can't find where I wrote it down. So the new moon in Aries, let me pull the chart for that just because I don't want to misspeak. We're going to have a whole bunch of conjunctions for that
Yep.
new moon, but there's going to be like two blocks of conjunctions because we have some of the planets that are going to be at the further end of Aries, and then we have like Neptune and Saturn that are still closer to the beginning of Aries. So I
Yeah.
don't want to misspeak on what's going to be conjunct what. So let me pull the chart really quickly. Um,
Yeah, that's true because we're gonna have certain things will be conjunct still that kind of Saturn Neptune, which is separating a bit, but
correct. Yeah.
and
Okay.
then
So
yeah, go ahead.
the day of the new moon, we will have Neptune sitting at 2 degrees Aries, conjunct Mercury at 3 degrees Aries. Mercury will be conjunct Mars at 6 degrees Aries. Mars will be conjunct Saturn at 7 degrees Aries. We still have that Eris Chiron conjunction in play with Eris at 25 degrees Aries and Chiron at 26. And then obviously we have the new moon at the very end of Aries.
Right. The moon. You're right.
So yeah, so Sun, Moon, Chiron, Eris, Saturn, Mars, Mercury, Neptune.
It's crazy.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yes.
And so, I'm telling people, oh my God, move your body every day.
Yes. Yes. I've been
Like,
telling people that because you don't want that stagnation of energy.
right.
Aries and Mars are both so physical. You've got to move to release some of that tension. And I was telling someone to make sure to move, and she was like, "Oh, but I hate exercising." I was like, "It doesn't have to be like a hard workout. Stretch.
Dance.
Just, yeah, do
Yeah.
something to move so you can just let that out. So it's
Yeah.
not sitting in there and building and building and building and then making you explode."
Right, because that's the other thing is that even if you know how to transmute this energy and work with it and
Mhm.
you're moving your body and you're doing all the things, lots of people out there are going to be, I mean, I'm just like be extra cautious while you're
Yes.
driving. There's going to
Yes.
be road rage, just watch
Yes.
be an ultra defensive driver.
Yeah.
Um yeah, and that's a and it's just like again, like you said, it's an awareness thing, right?
Yes.
If
Yeah.
somebody pops off at you, it's because this energy is feeling like super intense and they don't know what to
Yeah.
do with it. It's not
Yeah.
about you,
Right.
probably.
Right. So making sure that we stop and breathe and that we're not reactive, like you were saying before, that's going to be super important moving into the middle of the month, just because, again, there's so many people that don't understand these things and just aren't aware. So they are going to be reacting and people are going to be on edge and a little pissy.
Yeah,
So
totally.
yeah, so we need to have that awareness and we need to make sure that we're staying grounded. And again, we don't have any earth energy going right now.
Yeah.
So finding ways of remaining centered and grounded are going to be so important. So even if it's literally just going outside and putting your bare feet on the ground,
Yep,
do it. Whatever
totally.
you need to do to not get knocked off your center. Um, don't get polarized. Breathe, stop and breathe. Really think about things before we're reacting to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I it's going to be it's going to be interesting in my family because
Mm.
I have, both of my parents have these massive Aries stelliums in their natal charts, and I
Oh,
have
wow.
a 4 planet stellium in Libra, and
Okay.
and then 2 placements in Cancer, and so there's like this T
Yeah.
square
Yeah.
thing. But
Yep.
you know, for those of us who have lots of Libra and Cancer energy, this
Mm.
Aries energy feels amazing because like we
Yeah.
never feel this bold and we never feel like
Right.
this much energy.
Motivated and
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
totally.
Yep.
And
It's like,
so
yes, I'm gonna do all the things. I know what to do now.
yeah, and I feel my sovereignty just like coursing through my veins, right?
Yes, yes.
But like
That part
I'm
of
like,
this I love.
yeah, so but then like people that have a lot of Aries placements, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're
Hmm.
gonna be where are they even gonna be able to contain it all?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
like,
I've had a client that's been
yeah.
having that issue, and then I'm an
Mhm.
Aries sun. And then I'm gonna have T squares going. I'm a Cancer moon.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've got squares and I've got a T square going. So again, that's where the awareness for me is important because otherwise
Right.
I'm gonna be that reactive, snappy person, right?
Yeah. And when
So
it's a square, it's the square is always feels unsafe on some level. Like the
yes, yeah,
reactivity comes from that natural first square of
yeah,
Aries to Cancer anyway. And now it's actually happening in Aries to
right,
Cancer, which is like the
right,
dichotomy between asserting and safe and asserting
yeah.
and safe. And so that's where the friction comes in.
Hmm. When I explain squares to clients who
Mhm.
really don't have much astrological knowledge, I always say to them, you know that saying that people are squaring off, like when they're fighting? I'm
Mhm.
like, that's a square in your natal chart. The energy is squaring off and it wants to go in two different directions, and this one wants to do it their way, and this one wants to do it their way, and they don't want to compromise.
Yeah, and you've
So,
got to
yeah,
find a way to make space for both.
exactly. Yeah,
Right.
you have to find a way to incorporate both and meet in the middle.
Which brings us back to evolution happening, Uranus in
Yes.
Gemini, which
Yeah.
is the both and, right?
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
is, we can evolve through making space for all of the
Hmm.
different thoughts to
Yeah.
coexist at the same time without saying, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong.
Hmm. Yes.
Let's try to hold space for seemingly opposing points of view to coexist,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If we can.
Yeah.
And I think this opening trine between Pluto and Uranus is
Hmm.
is is moving us in that direction.
100%. And then when we get into July, like we were talking about, we're going to have that mini triangle between all three of the generational planets.
Yeah.
That is really going to be a pivotal moment. And I'm very curious to see how the collective is going to react when that comes into that exact trine and two sextiles between Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto.
Yeah, I'm
I
I'm very
personally think it's going to
curious.
be beautiful, but it'll just be interesting to see how it plays out.
We do have Mars conjunct Uranus on the 4th of July.
Fireworks.
Uh-huh.
Extra fireworks.
Extra fireworks. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, but yes, but also it's happening with in the context of that lovely little trine that you just
Yeah.
laid out for us.
Yep.
So hopefully that's like it's a beautiful explosion, like fireworks.
I'm hoping that trine and the two sextiles will be very positive. Mars conjunct Uranus on the 250th birthday of the US will be interesting because
Yeah.
that can go, not
Mhm.
the greatest.
Yeah.
And again, given the historical background of Uranus and Gemini, because that's where this will be happening, will be in
Yeah.
Gemini. Um,
Yeah.
I don't want to be negative, but I'm being realistic too,
Yeah.
right? We know what the pattern is, so something could likely happen that day. Um, however, the other the other triangle that will the other aspects there with that triangle on the seventh 3 days later, I think that will help it not be as harsh as it could be.
Yeah. It'll be a faster moving
Yes,
shock,
very
maybe.
swift.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
And then
and
Neptune retrograde also begins on the 7th when we have those sextiles in that trine at 4 degrees. Each of those three planets will be at 4 degrees in their respective signs. And then um, Saturn retrograde will begin on July 26th also.
yeah, where there'll be a bit of a backing off of the
Right. That like
idealism
pausing.
and
Yeah.
that pausing, and let's go back over kind of what we've where let's look at where we've come
Right.
and kind of
Yes.
reassess.
Yeah.
Um, I really do see with all the Leo focus that's happening the back half of the year
Hmm.
and the South Node moving through
Yeah.
Leo.
Yeah.
Um,
On July 27th, I was going to say that that's when we're going to have the nodes move into Aquarius and Leo.
yeah. And
Yeah.
not only are we moving towards uh, power to the people then, like
Hmm.
humanitarian
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
an energy, but we're this is what I like. So when we talk about how our entire world is run by boomers at this point,
Hmm.
this is the Pluto and Leo generation.
Yeah.
And that South Node, as I like to call it, the shitting out spot of the zodiac, right?
Right.
And so as it transits for a year and a half, starting at that point through Leo, it's literally going to be transiting over all their Plutos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having them, one by one. I just can visualize it one
Yeah.
by one, letting go of their power, letting go of their power, letting go of
Yep.
their power. Um,
Yeah.
and sorry, I have lots of boomers that I love in my life,
Yeah.
but
Of
the
course.
ones that are holding power are
Yeah.
not the
Those
ones
just
that are the
aren't.
enlightened boomers.
No.
No.
No. Mm-mm.
So,
Those are the ones that leaned into that negative expression of Leo energy
right.
because Leo is tied to royalty. It's represented by the lion, it's the king, right? It rules over drama. And when I say drama, I don't just mean like high school drama. I'm talking about like actual like theater and
Yeah.
theatrics and acting. So when you take the negative expressions of all of that, that's what you end up with.
Yeah. It has a very hard time seeing any viewpoint but its own.
Mhm. Yeah, it's very me, me, me.
Mm-hmm.
So we have unfortunately been living with that energy because we had a group of people that didn't learn how to evolve into the higher expression of what that Pluto in Leo is.
Right. And so,
So,
maybe we'll see that the next round of, we won't be here, but the next
right.
round of humanity, hopefully we'll see that. The next round of babies who are born with Pluto and Leo will
Yes.
maybe have
Yeah.
that. And maybe because Pluto's not going to go out of bounds anymore.
Right. See
Right.
that I keep going back to that because Pluto not going out of bounds ever again is so fascinating to me. Because again, the last time it's going to go out of bounds and it goes out of bounds to the south, where it means the revolution and people taking their power back. While you have Pluto and Aquarius, which already kind of signifies that, and Aquarius, as you know, has a tie-in with community.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yes.
also um, building strong communities and taking our power back individually, but it also leaning into that kind of like free society,
Yeah. And that's
free communities.
honestly, that's also Uranus and Gemini
It
is
is
like Gemini is your immediate neighborhood. It's like your you
social.
know,
Yeah.
immediate surroundings, what's right
Yes.
next to you. Now,
Yep.
ironically, it's also technology, right? But
Correct. Yes.
I think that we will evolve our communities in a hyper
Yeah.
local way, you
I
know?
really see that coming into play also. And I don't see a lot of people talking about that. And I wish more people would talk about that. Because I really think that community is going to be so crucial moving forward and just find the others, as Terrence
Yeah,
McKenna said, right? And just being on that same wavelength with people and having that support system around us, not only just because of, the heavy stuff that's to come, but it's where we're moving towards energetically speaking, astrologically speaking.
totally. And instead of like hoarding all the resources for
Hmm.
yourself, we're seeing things. What we look to Uranus for where the evolution is happening, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
if that's happening in Gemini, that is in community, and I'm seeing
Yes.
things like mutual aid on the rise instead of
Hmm.
top down, like
Yes.
donation kind of trickle, whatever.
Yep.
Mutual aid and these hyper local communities where everybody just barters and shares, and
Yeah.
the guy that does this, and the girl that
Yep.
does this, and you can do this. And I
Hmm.
see that just really escalating. And
Yes.
when that happens, that does put power back in the hands of the people. I mean, that is Pluto in
Absolutely.
Aquarius.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because again, that's leaning into your sovereignty and not needing to rely on outside sources for food and for all of those things. You're going to be bartering and you're going to be building this beautiful community where you guys support one another and you don't have to worry about the external crap and those other
Yeah.
people and fake authority figures.
Right. I say that it's just like it's all of the structures that are falling,
Yeah.
right? All of
Yes.
the structures, what is falling, especially if we look to that Neptune on Saturn, right?
Hmm.
And how it was
A
dancing through
disillusion.
Pisces for the longest time first before
Hmm.
it hit its exact, the
Hmm.
0 degree
Yeah.
varies. But it's like it's everything is a construct really at its
Yeah.
root.
Yes.
And it's all like a bunch of dudes, because let's be honest, there's a bunch of dudes, and whether you're talking
Hmm.
about the United States or anywhere else in the world,
Globally. Yeah.
who just it's like we all are living in their big game of pretend.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just a game of pretend that got so huge
Hmm.
that everybody, it is literally like the Matrix, right? Like we
Yeah.
talk about that. But it's
Definitely.
not, it's illusion, really. And
Yes. It's that
the
Neptunian
illusions are,
illusion. Yeah.
yes, totally.
Yep.
And we are so much more capable. That's the thing I keep coming
Yeah.
back to. We are so much more capable than we realize. We don't
Oh,
need, and
yeah.
that's all this Aries energy. I'm like, we
Exactly.
don't need to know what's coming to
Right.
understand that we together have the
Hmm.
ability to handle whatever rises in our experience as it comes.
Yep. Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Very well said.
thank you. I get a little impassioned about it.
I do too,
You
and
know?
I always feel like what's that meme of Charlie O'Day, is that his name, the actor? And he's got the billboard with all of like the red string like connecting all the
I don't
stuff.
know
It's
that.
like that joke. I'll
Yeah, I
have to
don't know.
show it to you. It's the funniest little like clip of him, and it's supposed to be like one of those like kind of like conspiracy theory looking things where he's got all the different pictures and they're all connected with the red yarn. I feel like that's me when I'm talking about a lot of this stuff because I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, this is connected with this because of this and blah blah blah, and like sometimes people are like,
I know.
okay.
I know. Oh my gosh, that lands so huge for me because Lindsay, that I usually do this podcast with,
Mhm.
she has started saying, I don't realize how much I talk about shit that nobody else has a clue what I'm
Oh
talking
yeah, yeah.
about. And that I just need to like, so she's like, okay, we're gonna, all of her friends, all these people have been giving her these questions to ask me. And when I'm
Uh-huh.
looking at the questions, I'm like, oh, oh, okay. I really need to not move through so quickly through this stuff.
Yeah,
Because all the assumptions that I have known,
right,
about astrology and about
right.
spiritual things, because I've
Hmm.
literally been studying spirituality my entire life.
Yeah,
I'm,
you and I have had that conversation. We both have. So I think
yeah,
we kind of forget, right? Like some of the little things that we've known for so long that maybe others don't. So
yeah,
then it doesn't necessarily click for other people the way it does for us. So yeah,
exactly.
I've been having the same struggle and I keep trying to kind of dial it back and be like, okay, let me kind of go back and
Yeah,
break it down a little bit further so this actually makes sense to people. And I'm not the crazy person that's just like
right.
this and that.
Because the whole point is to support people.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
the whole point. And the
Yeah.
reason that you and I are so passionate about it is because we have found, I don't know if you agree with this, I think you do, but I won't speak for you. We have found a center,
Yes.
a calm within the storm.
Yeah.
And it's so stable and so
Hmm.
beautiful that
It
we
is.
see so many people
Yeah.
struggling and suffering and scared, and we just
Yeah.
want to help other people find that in themselves,
Yeah.
you know
Yes.
um and so that's the point, and that's why we get
Yeah.
excited. We're like, look,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I was on a live last night and a friend of mine was hosting the live and she saw that I got on and she started talking about how I've helped her, and I didn't realize I had helped her so much just from
Aw.
checking her transits and kind of being like, this is what you have going on. This is why you feel this way. And when she said that, I was like, that's the whole point. That's why we as astrologers do what we do. It's
Hmm.
not to, you know, predict things in the future. And yeah, I do posts on that stuff because it's kind of relevant and because people
Uh-huh.
like to read it. But the whole point is to be able to read a natal chart for someone and help
Yep.
them out when they're
Yep.
struggling. So it goes
Absolutely.
back to we want to help people, and this is the tool that we use to help people.
Yeah. And so often I think the thing that continuously just keeps me going with it is that everybody I sit with, it's like you're just affirming what their intuition is already telling them,
Yeah.
and their mind has gotten them in a tizzy because it's second guessing and it's
Yes.
questioning.
Yeah,
And and that's what's beautiful about it,
it
you
is.
know.
Yeah, I get that a lot. One of the things that I have so many clients say to me is they feel validated.
Hmm. Totally.
Yep,
That's a beautiful thing. The very first
it
time
is.
I had somebody do an astrologer reading for me, and I
Uh-huh.
say this all the time, uh, you'll laugh at this. This was, oh my gosh, it was years ago, and
Hmm.
this man was lived in California. We
Uh-huh.
did it over the phone. I didn't know him
Right.
personally. He couldn't see me, he couldn't look at me. And the
Hmm.
first thing that he says to me is, "Oh, so you're like you would love to live in a monastery, very spiritual, you're like a monastery person, but you're going there wearing lipstick and heels." I'm like,
That's awesome.
and
I
that's
like that.
Venus
That's
and Virgo
awesome.
on my ascendant, right? I know that
That's
now. But at
okay.
that moment, it was like, mic drop. How do you know
Right.
me? You
Right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
what astrology does. It makes people feel seen.
totally. Yep.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yep.
It's awesome. I did want there was something else that was in my brain just a second ago. So
Okay.
if we speaking of Uranus returns,
Hmm.
right? Uh,
Hmm.
we're coming up to the United States having its Uranus return.
Yep.
That doesn't happen until the summer of 2027, the
Correct.
exact
July
date.
7th, 2027. 7/7/27.
And in my brain, knowing what I know about returns and the
Hmm.
cycle ending and dissolving in these
Hmm.
last few degrees, I
Hmm.
don't really think we're going to start seeing the new moving
Yeah.
forward until after we hit that point.
Correct. I agree.
Okay.
I see this as the building phase.
Hmm.
So the energy will continue to build until next July. And then once Uranus starts to move away from the US's Uranus, which sits at 8 degrees Gemini,
Hmm.
once we get more distance from that. Now, I know I was always taught that in terms of conjunctions with planets like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, because they move so slow, conjunctions got to be really tight. So I would say once we've got Uranus at about 11 degrees, that's going to really ease up and
Yep.
we're not going to feel that tense building of energy like we are now. And that's when we'll start to lean into more of those higher expressions and
Yep.
not so much of the historical pattern, if you will.
Right. Yeah. And then, another year after that, we get Saturn moving into Taurus.
Yes.
And that I feel like will lend even more stability.
Yes.
Um, you know,
It's really beautiful how this is playing out, the timing of it all, especially when I'm sure people have heard this quite a bit, but as astrologers, like we have not seen this pattern. Like this is
nope.
unprecedented times and like seeing all of this Aries energy right now with Uranus going into Gemini, while Pluto's in Aquarius, while Neptune's in Aries, like the combination is just amazing. And like you're saying, when Saturn moves into Taurus, that's going to be after that US return with Gemini. So
Yeah.
if you just think about it from like a logical perspective of what Uranus and Gemini entails with that building up and the historical
Yep.
pattern, that would make sense that then we have that calming grounding. Like it's almost
Totally.
a rebuilding also. And Saturn is the architect, right? It is foundations and, the structures that make up society. So,
Beautiful. Beautiful.
yes.
And, you know, it's so feminine in Taurus. Like
Yes.
you can
Yeah.
feel the rise, we keep talking about the rise of the feminine.
Yeah.
And, with Saturn and Aries, it's more like it's the fire of the new.
Yeah.
It's the
Yep.
instinct of
It's
the
that
new.
initiation. Hmm.
Yeah, but then it if you're looking at the birth cycle in the zodiac, then it's like, oh, yeah, I'm here and
Hmm.
I'm grounded. I'm
Yeah.
here and I'm,
The settling.
yes, settling.
Hmm.
And so I find that exciting.
Yeah.
I think this being the first Uranus return after the Pluto return
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
significant, you
Hmm.
know. Um, and yes, we're seeing a lot of horrific things rise to the surface, a
Yeah.
lot of horrific truths, but my God, would you want them to stay hidden?
Right. And again, how do people really get motivated to take their power back and lean into sovereignty if all of this isn't exposed? It's been around for so long.
Yep.
Something has to shake people, going back to that Uranus, the Great
Yeah.
Awakener, and shaking shit up.
Yeah.
Something has to happen that's going to shake people awake so that we will move and actually say, enough is enough.
Enough
This
people
is it.
have to
This is
get
our time.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yes.
Enough
Yeah.
people have to get
Yeah.
uncomfortable. And honestly, like, so many people in my life, and I love them, no judgment,
Mhm.
but there's so many people over the years who have just been like, well, I don't care about politics. They don't, it doesn't
Right.
affect me. And then I'm like, yeah, but I've, you know, it's because you kind of live, I hate to use the P word, but
Mhm.
and I'm not saying it as a negative thing. I'm privileged too, but people that were not born into the situation that I was born into,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
you know, their experience here is totally different than mine.
Yeah.
And, we're all connected. And,
Yes. Yeah.
it's compassion and empathy is on the rise.
Yeah. Yep.
Compassion and empathy is going to be fusing into both the
Hmm.
subterranean change and
Yeah.
the evolutionary change
Yeah.
with that minor talent
Yeah.
trine, whatever you call it,
Yeah.
um, because of Neptune being right in the middle and us really
Mhm.
seeing the way that we're all so connected
Yeah.
and
Yep.
other people's suffering cannot
Yeah.
continue just because we live with our white picket fence and our, you know,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah. So,
Very well said. Yeah. You hit the
yeah.
nail on the head.
So we're at an hour
Okay.
or a little over an hour.
Okay.
Was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we wrap up today?
Not without talking for like another hour.
Okay.
um, I think I just really want people to know that everything that's happening right now has to happen.
Hmm.
I know, like you were saying, it's hard to see some of this, and there's a lot of very ugly truths being revealed. They have to be revealed. Things have to fall apart. We cannot build something new and beautiful on the foundation we have right now. The system is
Right.
broken, and I'm not just referring to the US.
Right.
Worldwide,
Worldwide.
things are broken. They
Hmm.
have to completely crumble so we
Yep.
can start over.
Yep.
So, obviously, growing pains, that's scary or can be scary. But keeping our eyes on that light at the end of the tunnel, like I said earlier, that's just so important right now. And just trying to remember that this is taking us somewhere that we've never been. Like humanity has never gone through
Yeah.
um, this amount of compressed change.
Yep. And it's a
And
cleansing. Yeah.
yeah, it is. It
Yeah.
is. I mean, we think of water a lot with cleansing, right? But fire can be purifying and cleansing too. And that's
Yeah. We
that
went
Aries
through
energy
all the
right now.
water, man. We did
Right.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. We did. Yep. And
But
now
yeah,
here we are.
here we are. And again, I would just say, yes, there's so much suffering, and
Yeah.
you can't even put into words the scale and
Yeah.
of the suffering that's happening. Um, but it's vitally important that we hold hope
Yes. Yeah.
and
We
that
can't lose sight of
we
hope.
uh, find pockets of joy as
Hmm.
resistance to
Yes.
the suffering that we're seeing. Um, yeah, and completely agree. We are. It is unprecedented times, and what is going to be on the other side of this is going to be so much better.
Yeah.
And the sky
Yeah.
speaks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
we can see that it's not here yet, but it's coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
You
um,
did just remind me of one last
do
like
it.
interesting little tidbit. I have to throw it out there. I can't not throw it out there because it's one of my favorite books, and I'm sure you're going
Okay.
to find this just as fascinating as I do. Um, the last time Uranus was in Gemini,
Mhm.
the last day that it was in Gemini was June 10th, 1949. George Orwell's 1984 was published on June 8th, 1949.
Oh my God, I just got goosebumps.
Hmm. So what you were saying just now about, you know, still finding joy and how that is a rebellious act.
Yes.
Yes,
Hmm.
love and joy are one of the most rebellious acts right now because if you believe in the they and understand those concepts, right?
Yeah.
Then you know that they don't want us to be happy and joyful and be finding the positive in all of this right now. So,
Right.
yeah. And
Because
1984 talks about that a lot, right?
yeah, totally. And because there's power in joy.
Yes.
That is the higher archive of Leo,
Hmm.
right?
And love. I mean,
Love.
Leo
Totally.
rules the heart.
Leo rules the heart. And I think we're going to have a little buffer around that south node with
Yeah.
Jupiter there at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Absolutely.
I'm going to just bring up another
Yeah.
topic and another
Right.
topic and another topic.
So many layers.
So I
So
don't
many
think we
layers.
gave the date of the new moon. The date, I think the Aries new moon is coming up on the
April
17th,
17th. Yep.
April 17th.
Correct.
And,
Uranus
you
moves
know,
into Gemini April 25th,
25th.
around just before 9 p.m. Eastern time in the US.
Yep. And then we have the nodes shifting in July 26th. Is that correct? The nodes shift towards the end
27th,
of
26th. It's right
27th.
around 26th, 27th.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know Jupiter moves into Cancer on June 30th. Or sorry, Jupiter moves into Leo out of
Right.
Cancer on June
Yes.
30th.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and then we're going to be all fire and air.
Yeah.
Whew, things
Yes.
are going to be fast. So ground, what you were saying about grounding,
Yeah.
ground,
Yeah.
ground, ground. We're going to
So
be no
important.
longer these spiritual practices that only take us up.
Right.
We've got to be
Yeah.
able to do both. We've got to be able to root down
Yes.
as we're going up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yep. So, if people wanted to get a hold of you, follow you because you have such awesome content,
Thank you.
and if they would love to be interested in booking a reading with you, can you share where they can find you?
Yes. So I'm on Instagram. My Instagram page is c.alexa DuRose. So c.alexadurose. And then my email address is calexadurose@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you. I'm
It was
so
really
happy that
fun.
we got to do this. Yes, this was
We'll
great.
do it more.
Yeah,
We'll
we
chat
should.
about how that's going to look, but
Yeah,
this is really fun to do with you. I feel like it flows really nicely.
I
So
do too. I loved this. Thank you.
awesome. See you soon. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.